What's happening, dude? What's going on in your world? Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. That was me. I was on mute.
That's all right, dude. What's going on in your world, man?
Oh man, just missed a class last night. I was actually doing some calls with Michael Goolsby.
Oh yeah, Michael Goolsby.
Yeah, he and I were doing a bunch of calls and stuff. Ran across some decent connects, but had some good conversations and stuff like that. Didn't find any deals in that set. We only talked to about 4 people.
I see. That's awesome.
It was cool. It was really cool. Yeah,
that is cool.
He got something out of it. I was like, just we made some connect with a realtor down in an area that he's working. We found a wholesaler that was really cool. Not a wholesaler, but a rehabber down in an area that he's working. So got some people on the list.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's exciting that you're calling with some of these guys. I know you got some skills when it comes to the phone.
Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. Trying to learn from you, man.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, but we both know that you've got some other really good training too, besides what you've picked up here.
We both. I had a call with him by the way yesterday morning.
Oh yeah.
And I was having some roadblocks, man, and take them down like. And I'm just like, and every time that happens, you think to yourself, why did I think of that, right? You're just
right.
Thinking about stuff, right? And then he says something that's so simple and so, what's the word I'm looking for? Applicable, right? That you can just immediately implement, right?
Exactly.
Like, what the fuck? Damn.
Yeah, exactly. I love the gut sales system. It's incredible.
It's amazing.
It is the most honest, direct to the point sales techniques I've ever been a part of ever. And
there's so many levels to it.
There are. I've sold so many different things in my life. I've been a salesman that sold. Let me see. What was the first thing I sold? Well, I was in the service business when I was like 12 years old.
Okay. Did you say you sold vacuums?
I have sold vacuum cleaners door to door. Yes.
Me too. I did Kirby.
Yeah.
Hardest stuff I ever did.
I was selling a vacuum cleaner called the Hyla. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's a German-made vacuum cleaner. It's basically an electronic water bomb. Sucks the dirt in one hole, filters it through water, right? Which grabs all the dust, dirt particles, everything.
Yeah.
And then, of course, exhausts out the other side, clean air. But it was so powerful when I went to demo this for prospects, which the hardest part of that gig was prospecting, right? Going door to door, knocking and talking, smiling and walking and talking. That's what we used to call it. Right. But it was so powerful, Victor, the vacuum cleaner. Of course, when you demo it for people, you put a little filter in it and then you suck on the carpet or you suck on the couch, or if you're lucky enough to let them if they let you do this, you suck it on the mattress, right? Or in their bed.
Yeah.
And you always come up with something. Every one of us has got something, dust, hair, something, dander.
Yeah. Right.
So you're pretty confident you're going to find something, but some folks are cleaner than others. But this vacuum cleaner was so powerful, it would suck the wood chips out of the floor, the subfloor. So it's like you knew, as the salesman, that as soon as I put this sucker down on the carpet, it's going to come up with some real crazy shit y'all ain't seen before.
Right.
Because it's
good afternoon, everyone.
Because it's actually under your carpet.
Yeah.
Wow. Crazy.
That's crazy. They got some stuff out there, boy. It's people don't know, but it's some stuff out there.
Yeah, I agree, man. Interesting technologies out there that we haven't heard of, a lot of us. But selling that door to door was tough. It was a tough business. You're in a crappy job when, as a salesman, the first week you're the top salesman. I was the top salesman in my first week in the company, and they were like, this guy's dynamite, he's amazing. And this is before I knew gut sales or any of that, but yeah, it was just because everybody else was horrible, and and I was bad too, but I wasn't.
The bar was low, huh?
Yeah, the bar was way low, you know, like, and also the prizes for being the top salesman, that was really low. Like I won from that company. I won a little Google. It's like an iPad, but this was years and years and years ago.
Oh yeah.
So it was pretty hot, little Google pad, and I was like, geez, already just walk in the door and just here I am, everybody. Boom.
I'm the one.
Yeah. Never want to go back to doing that. That was tough work. Tough.
What's up, Ed?
What's going on, everybody? Good to see everybody here. Daniel, Aisha, Rick, Ed. We've got LG Tribute Empire. Not sure who you are today, but welcome.
When we gonna make Aisha turn on her camera?
Aisha, when you gonna turn on your camera? I don't know.
Never, she said in capital letters.
Oh, did she put it in? She put it in the chat. Never.
In chat.
Well, my goodness. Yeah, I'm so thankful for the Guts sales system, because it has really polished me up on my sales game. I thought I was pretty good before, but now I feel like I've got that cutting edge. You know,
and a certain confidence that you know exactly, you tuned into their emotions, you tuned into their, needs and greeds, which is, I think is such an amazing line, needs and greeds. Like if you really take that in, there's so much to be said about every single human being, because that's how we operate.
Yeah. What's in it for me? Yeah. With them. Yeah. The acronym, what, WIIFM, what's in it for me?
That's right. That's the radio station we all listen to.
Exactly, Victor. Yeah. Before, when I was doing sales, though, I was all about my pitch, my presentation, right? Let me show you what this vacuum cleaner does. Let me show you what this insurance product does. I sold insurance, so I was pretty successful with that. Let me show you what these investment packages will do for your retirement. Let me show you, and really, most of the time, now that I look back in hindsight, irregardless of what they were interested in, let me show you what I got. Right. And that's the sales typical mindset, and that's just so ancient history nowadays, right? Mm-hmm. Because people are looking for authenticity. They're looking for you to be genuine. People are looking for you to just come right out with what you have, as long as it relates to what they want, And, before that, it was like, let me get into this pitch. Hold my beer. I'm going to show you this,
That's right.
But now I don't really pitch. I was telling somebody this the other day. I don't pitch to a homeowner in the real estate business until I feel like I've created some kind of an emotional momentum in the conversation with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's so powerful. It's so important.
Mm-hmm.
We forget that. Now I've got this agenda. I've got this qualification section. I've got this closing section. So I've got the guts laid out, right? I've got the guts program set out here in front of me, the process, the procedure for my sale call. And I've noticed that some students are going from the agenda section, where they introduce themselves, they set a roadmap for the conversation. They go into the qualification sections, where they start to ask questions and determine the motivation levels and information about the homeowner's situation and their maybe problem they might be having, or issue or concern.
Mm-hmm.
And then they bond with them. They relate with them. Yes, I've went through a similar experience, or my cousin, he went through a similar experience, or I know a guy, I just talked to a gentleman that was going through that. You're not alone, sir. Mm-hmm. And this must be tough. But then they go right on to the next question in the qualification section. They just move forward like business, boom, 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 boom. It's like as if somebody said, hey, my mother passed away. And what's the natural response? 99 out of 100 people are going to say, oh, sorry for your loss.
Right.
And then they're going to, Yeah, then they're going to move on. I mean, those words don't mean diddly squat to nobody hardly anymore, because it's just a programmed, how you doing? Doing good.
Auto response.
You know, yeah. What's up? Nada. You know, it's all just auto. Yeah. So in that bonding, I'm encouraging folks to bond with them like you're doing, but then remember to ask a question to go back into the need or the greed, right? Because a lot of times that first sharing, when the homeowner shares with you first, oh, here's what's going on, I need to move because blah, blah, blah. That's the sports news weather. That's the 10% of the iceberg that's above the water. But there's a 90% of the iceberg that's under the water, right? And if you just go, yeah, I've got a friend that went through that and blah, blah, it's pretty crappy. Well, let me ask you a question. Are you guys interested in doing something pretty quick? See, I just moved right along into the next question of the qualification section, but I missed a golden opportunity to create an emotional momentum with this guy. Yes, I bonded with him briefly. Yes, I related to him briefly, but I didn't take the time to go back into the needs and greeds he was just sharing with me. I'll give you an example. I've just shared with you kind of the bad example of how you just push through it and move right forward very fast. But the other day I was talking to this homeowner and he was telling me that that he needs to move because his current spouse works in an adjoining city, well, or nearby city or town, and she's driving a pretty good distance every day. Okay. Much of a hassle to her. That doesn't bother him much, but it's a hassle to her. And I was in this qualification section and he was sharing with me how they want to move because she lives up in this town. Okay. See, remember, that's just the tip of the iceberg. What emotional pay dirt can I find here? That's the question I'm asking myself in my mind. And so I'm like, hey, let me, I've got a friend that used to work, his wife used to work way out of town too. And man, I'm here to tell you, when she came home, she was tired because she had to drive 45 minutes to an hour there and 45 minutes to an hour home. Plus she worked a 9-hour shift, including her lunch break. So she was busy 11 hours of that day. And I said, man, it got tough on their relationship because she was so wore out when she got home. You're not going through anything like that, are you? Ballsy. I felt like that was a ballsy maneuver, right? I could be missing completely, but because I've already bonded with him, I've already related with him a little bit, and I bring that out. I'm not even talking about him. I'm referring to a friend. The guy opens up to me and he says, oh gosh, man, it's crazy. I know we would be so much happier if we just could simplify things a little bit. See, you don't know where they're at, right? You just don't know the pain. And you think you know the pain and you want to put them on a motivation level 1 to 10, 10 being most motivated, 0 being not motivated at all, except they've only given you the sports news weather version, right? Until you dive back into this a little, or at least attempt to, you don't really know the real full story. Yeah. Last night in the VIP, we played a live seller call Ed brought to the table. Ed Porter. He's in the room right here. Yeah. This is a call he made to the homeowner, and we were listening in. Now, what Ed did that was great is he stayed in the saddle with this guy, kind of like what I'm talking about. The guy initially was like, oh yeah, I got a guy that came over to the house yesterday. He called me, said he wanted to give me a rent to own deal, but he was willing to put $50,000 down. This is only a $150,000 house. Okay. He was like, nah, I've just told him no, cause I need the cash. I'm ready to just move on. I was like, okay, sports news weather. That's what he just gave you. He gave you half truths or maybe even full untruths. Okay. Because he doesn't know you. You're not really digging. You're not turning the screw. But Ed stayed in the saddle with this guy a little longer, dove back into it, into the needs and greeds, and started to build a little emotional momentum with the guy. Now, the entire conversation, by the time he got off the phone, the guy was already had forgotten he got $50,000 offer yesterday in cash, cash down payment. Already forgot all that. All right. And was like, so you rent it for 18 months to 2 years and I get the full price? Yeah. I don't know, man. That might work. That might work. Why don't you check your numbers and make sure you're good? And we might talk about this again. What happened to the guy that came yesterday with the same fucking offer and had 50K in his hand? See, it was all sports news weather until you dive back in and you dig a little bit more. It's what I call turning the screw, you know. But what you're doing is you're looking for that emotional pay dirt. I will not go into the closing section on most of my calls unless the guy is just a hard ass. Okay. And I run into those.
Yeah.
But I don't go into the closing section until I feel like I've struck some kind of an emotional momentum with this guy. Like I really understand what's really going on. And I'm not talking about the sports news weather 10% above the water.
Right.
I want to see a glimpse. I want you to lift up the
right.
Lift up the curtain. I almost said lift up the skirt, but lift up the curtain, right? And give me a peek at what really hurts, okay? Because until I know what really hurts, my offer is going to be iffy. I may miss.
Yeah.
I may offer what doesn't suit the guy. I may offer what's not a good fit because I haven't found the emotional pay dirt. What's the $1 million rule, Victor? You already know.
The $1 million rule.
Claude says it pretty often. If you remember Claude saying it, that's why I said you already know, because I thought maybe you'd heard.
I may already know, but you know, I might be. Would it have to do with the needs and greed you're talking about?
When I say it, you're gonna go, oh yeah, that's right, I remember. Because I got you on the spot here, but the $1 million rule is that people make large financial decisions on the spot if they're emotionally engaged.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
If they're emotionally engaged. Okay. The problem is we go through the agenda, qualification, closing, boom, 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 boom. Okay, I did the map. I checked the boxes as I went through. Done. Bonded with the guy. Oh yeah, my cousin went through that. Yeah. Okay, so now what are you asking again for the price, and how'd you come up with that? Okay, you lost a golden opportunity here because the man has an emotional existence, right? He has problems that he's trying to solve something. And in a lot of these cases, and we're just simply not getting to it. We're getting the data. We're getting the story, the sports news weather, but we're not really diving into that emotional pay dirt whereby they're going to be motivated to make a decision to solve the problem when a solution presents itself, right?
Yep.
Have you heard guys talk about at the end of your calls, they'll say, well, let me think about it. Okay, that to me is a blazing banner right in my eyes that says you somehow missed the emotional pay dirt.
Yeah.
You have somehow missed the emotional momentum of the conversation. He, at the very last, is now telling you he just wants to think about it. Man, where did I go wrong? You know, when I look back and I judge my calls, I believe when they're telling me that they're going to think about it, it's not that I didn't pitch it right or I didn't explain it right. It's not that my breath smelled bad and they could tell over the phone or any of that. It's nothing. It's just I didn't connect with this guy. I just didn't connect with this guy, and my offer didn't fit the emotional context that the paradigm, his goggles, the way he sees things. Right. My offer just didn't fit, you know. And so, guys, I want to tomorrow, especially, we can do it some today even, but Friday's kind of a role play day for us here in the club. We can do other things on Friday too. It's not set in stone, but I do want to kind of practice getting into this emotional pay dirt with people. I will tell you right off the bat, some of these guys are it's hard to get to that emotional pay dirt, especially I find with men. When I'm calling and a man answers the phone, it's a little more challenging to get a man into the emotional momentum with me, because us men are taught to be big and tough, and we don't have to share our business. That's my beeswax and you mind yours, you know. And a female, though, more open to discussion, generally more open to sharing the real story, more open to feeling what we're talking about here. Okay. That's why we love females, right?
Yeah.
They're different, and they're wonderful and beautiful in their own way.
Have you found that for me, when I talk to a female, they respond to the feeling of emotion, like they feel like I'm emotionally attracted, connected with them, while men tend to respond more to confidence.
That's true. That's exactly what I'm trying to describe. Yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
I believe that is pretty standard for me. I love it when a female answers the phone, because I know that they're more apt to go along with me in discussion, and I can understand them, and we can feel together what their situation is. But when a man answers the phone, especially when he's one of these, hello, yeah, who is this? Okay, strike an emotional pay dirt with that guy. It might take me a few extra minutes if I can do it at all. You know, but unfortunately, I guess, or fortunately, I don't know, depending on how you look at it, I do get a lot of men on the phone, and I do get a lot of women homeowners on the phone. Okay. Now, here's an interesting thing, since we're talking about this, and I'm probably going to get slammed on social media for gender norming everybody. Okay. Right. All right. I'm just judging things by my experiences of what I've seen. Now, when you're talking to a homeowner and it's a man, and he says at the end, he says, okay, yeah, this is something I think we might be able to do. Let me talk to my wife and we'll get back to you. I need to discuss this with her. Who is the real decision maker here?
The wife.
Yeah, pretty much always. I mean, if you think about your relationships, right? I mean, you probably do the same thing. I do it too. Okay. It's a point of consideration in a relationship to consider your partner and discuss things. And I understand all that. But men want to please that woman too. They want to make her happy. So I literally have had guys I could not close. I could not close them until the wife got on the phone. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Once she got on the phone, then she understood, she felt, I felt, and then the emotional pay dirt's there. I go into the closing with her. It makes total sense to her. And she tells him, honey, we're doing this.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And it made me think every time it happens, I wish she'd have just picked up the phone to begin with.
Yeah. It's been a lot shorter conversation.
Absolutely. So you will have to, as a guts salesman, as a guts trained real estate investor, you'll have to practice this, because this is not a normal everyday conversational thing. I believe that when you go throughout your day, most of our responses, 95% of our verbal communication is mostly without thought. You know, hey, what are you hungry for? I don't know. Burrito sounds good. You know, I'm not really thinking about it. I'm just talking. And you might be comfortable with your spouse that way, where you guys just banter back and forth without a whole lot of real deep thought into what you're going to say or how you're going to say it. You might be that way with your friends. You might be that way with your coworkers or your boss at work or something, or other family members. But when it comes to being on the phone with a homeowner, you can't turn your mind off like that, because you are needing to stay in control here of the conversation. And I think a lot of times we do default into this, and it's because I believe we have lazy tongues, you know. I've talked about it a lot, where not a lot, but some, the tongue is a muscle. If we don't exercise this muscle, what happens to muscles when we don't exercise?
They atrophy.
Yeah. I used to be pretty muscular.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. Believe it or not. Look at this flabby arm now. Not that great. Okay. Not that great. But I used to be pretty jacked.
Right.
How did I get jacked? Well, I worked out every freaking day. I drank protein powder. I drank creatine powder. I did some heavy squatting, heavy deadlifts, running, run. I used to, it's crazy enough, back in my depression years, I used to even drink 275 milliliters of Jägermeister.
Wow.
And then go jogging. Like, who the fuck does this? Right. But that was me, just a weirdo.
Right.
Then I met a guy and he said, "Hey, I got something I think you might be interested in." And I got steroids. Okay. No, don't tell anybody.
Right.
But I got the needles and everything, and I was injecting steroids into my legs.
Wow.
Right. And I'm going to the gym and I'm pushing weight like I've never pushed before. And I'm getting gains like I've never seen before. And I'm also mean. Right. I'm mean. I'm meaner than a snake. Yeah. And so I eventually ran out of those steroids. The guy I never got any more from him. And then I herniated myself in a sit-up session one day. I was doing sit-ups on one of these big balls, those big rubber balls you lay on and you can crunch. And I got a hernia. So I went and had hernia surgery. During the hernia surgery, I quit working out. And now look at me. I look like the same guy I looked like before I did all of that shit. Because if you don't stay on it and exercise, those muscles will go back down to their normal size, which is kind of where I'm at now.
Right.
But before I was sexy before.
you had your 8-pack.
No, I never had that, but
No.
I never had that. I was more into the glamour muscles, the shoulders, the back, the arms.
Right.
I was one of those dudes with little tiny chests and big ass arms. But all of that.
You're killing Rick over here.
Oh my God. Yes, I may need therapy after this too. My point is our tongues, we never think about them. We never think about our tongues. What is it about the tongue? It's a muscle. And it sure is good at scarfing down Whoppers and French fries. It's been trained well to do this, right? I can pound some chicken McNuggets like nobody's business, which is also partly why this looks like this today. Okay. Now, if the tongue is a muscle, we can train it, and we should be training it. There's a scripture in the Bible. I mean, I know this is not a religious channel, but there's a scripture in the Bible that says that the tongue is so powerful, no man can truly tame it. No man. We always slip up and say some stuff we don't want to, at some point, right? You ever been sitting there with your spouse and you said something and it was like, I want to catch those words and shove them back in. Oh, it's too late. Now I'm getting freaking divorced.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Been there.
Now the bill has to be paid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So taming that tongue, learning to use it like a tool. Okay. When you're on the phone, you're not talking to a family member or a friend or a coworker where you can emotionally and mentally shut down and just kind of go with the flow because you trust one another and you feel confident and safe. And when you're on the phone with a homeowner prospect, you've got to be engaged and you've got to be able to use your tongue like a tool. And what is the tool meant to do? To create an emotional momentum so that when you go to close, they're closing themselves. They're like, yes, can we do this? How do we do this? Can you tell me how we do this? I love it when they ask me that because I know I've done my job right. I have used my tongue like a tool. Guys got to practice this. Got to practice this. Exercise. I was, like I said, it's not a religious channel, but I'm a believer. I believe. And I was sitting here a couple days ago in my office, and I was thinking, Justin, what's wrong with you? Why are you not bigger and better and badder and tougher and stronger and richer? What are you doing wrong? And, it just struck me. I mean, I've attained a certain level because I've disciplined my tongue to a certain level, right?
Wow, good.
But I haven't gone beyond that because my tongue hasn't been tamed to that level, right? I haven't taught myself how to use my words to create emotional pay dirt in these calls as much as I could. So I set an appointment with Claude. Just like you were talking, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And man, Claude, he helps me sharpen my axe, grind it and make it polished and smooth. And man, I'm so thankful for that. Everybody that's a teacher has teachers, or you don't need to listen to them because they're crazier than hell, right?
Right.
So I bowed my head. I was sitting on the couch and I bowed my head and I say, God, if you will teach me how to use this tongue a little better, I think my life will be a whole lot better. And I think I can do a whole lot more good for you and other people. Help me with this freaking thing right here, this freaking stinky hole, right?
Yeah.
This is where the money is. The money's in your mouth, right?
Yeah.
You just don't know how to use it yet. So finding that emotional pay dirt takes practice. You have to work at this because it's not a natural thing. A baby comes out like a ball of jelly. I mean, you ever seen a baby? It has no muscular strength whatsoever.
Right.
It can't even smile and laugh, right? You have to teach it how to eat. You have to teach it how to suckle. You have to teach it everything. It knows nothing. That was you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah.
Now look at me. I look like I've developed, but in other ways, I'm still completely undeveloped.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now I'm preaching to the choir. I know, guys. I'm sorry. I just got up. I don't know. I just got up on this soapbox today and just thought
this is gold, man. This is gold right here.
Thank you, Victor. You're so encouraging.
Yeah, that's your spirit led you today. So
say what, Edward?
I say that's where your spirit led you today.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you saying that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like sometimes that does happen. We get off on things that are important, maybe important to me, maybe enlightening. If you heard something, a gold nugget in there, and I appreciate you saying that. But I want to be better. And that's what we're all about here, is practicing to get better, to find that emotional pay dirt. And if you're not finding that emotional pay dirt, and then you're telling me I made 100 phone calls and most of them were not connected, or I left a message, or they called back, but I got information about the deal. Is this a deal? I don't know. Is it? I don't know. I mean, we can look at the numbers, but that's only like 20% of what's really happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find any emotional pay dirt with the guy? Do you know why he hurts? Do you know why he has this greed, this need to move?
Yeah.
To dump this place or to sell it for high amounts of cash because he wants to retire to Florida, live on the beach?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, Victor, last week we were in a discussion about that, you and I think, and we were listening to somebody call, or we made a call. I don't remember what it was, but the guy, or was a role play or something, the guy wanted to move to Florida to retire and live on the beach. And I asked the question, was that a need or was that a greed? And you said it was a need. See, up until that point, I was thinking greed, because I was like, oh, this snowbird wants to sell. He don't need nothing. He's trying to get to Florida and hang out on the beach. But the more you turn the screw with this guy in the conversation, that was the sports news weather version I was looking at. I was reading the newspaper. That was the extent of the info that I got from the guy. But the more you dig in, the more you find out how his heart longs to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And also how he's just so sick of being where he is.
Mhm.
for whatever reason. And if we dig a little deeper, he'll tell us what those are.
Mhm.
You know, what happens if you get on the phone with a homeowner and they just refuse to cough up this emotional pay dirt? They refuse to connect and bond with you. They refuse to give you anything more than the sports news weather, right? They refuse. Where do you put these guys on a scale of 1 to 10? And what is the best outcome that you as the caller can have? Anybody want to talk about
Me
this?
personally, they're probably in in the middle, somewhere around a 5 or 6. There's obviously something there. I obviously have not connected at a level for whatever reason that they're willing to share anymore with me. And they're now, a consistent follow-up until I can chip away at the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with that. Absolutely. If you're talking to a guy and he's not willing to give up the emotional pay dirt, you're not able to create any emotional momentum. He will not share with you what his problems are, why he has a motivation. In some cases, he's just not ready.
Yeah, just not ready.
Yeah.
It's a waiting game now, and you just have to wait until this guy, and hopefully if you can follow up effectively and catch him at that time, because we all have that time. The toughest of us have that time, that moment where we're vulnerable and we're willing. And if I can come in at that point and just say, how can I help you?
Yeah.
I find that's just magic.
Yeah. Here's a great question. And I got this from Claude the other day. And like you were saying earlier about the gut sales system, which we teach here with his permission.
Mm-hmm.
The question he asked was, he said, you should ask this question. It's a brilliant question. Mr. Homeowner, with this property that you're trying to sell, what has been your greatest challenge in selling it? He said, now shut up.
Yeah.
Right. And let them talk. Right. And don't be so quick to rebut or, oh yeah, I can relate and bond. Let them talk, because you're digging here for the emotional pay dirt. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And if the guy will open up to, hey, in selling this house, what's your biggest challenge? What's been your biggest challenge so far? He's going to tell you the realtors were a problem. The lookers are a problem. I had it under contract once and then it fell out. I need to move because of this. And I'm scared because now I'm going to have 2 payments, whatever the story may be. See, now we're really talking. Now we're talking. It's not like when you call the guy, and we've all been there with the guy on the phone who's like, well, I don't really need to sell. I was just putting it up on. Are you kidding me? You got your shit on Zillow and you ain't really wanting to sell? What do you just like to do this for fun?
Right.
What he's telling you is I have emotional pay dirt somewhere in here, but I'm kind of guarding it for now. And if I like you and I trust you and you ask me the right questions, I'll open up to you and give you all my love. Say it again, Ed. What'd you say, Ed? Did I miss something?
No. I didn't say nothing. How to
create
the
you sound like you're listening to some good stuff. Let's just switch over to what Ed's listening to. No, I'm just teasing. So how can we find this emotional pay dirt, guys?
Kind of multitask while I'm listening to you and do something else at the same time.
I'm just giving you a hard time, man. Where does this emotional pay dirt, where do we find it? What segment of the phone call? The agenda, the qualification section, or the closing? Where are we really going to find this emotional pay dirt typically?
I think it's going to be in the qualification section.
Yeah. The qualification section.
Right.
We're typically going to ask a question to start out the qualification section. It's going to be something like, Mr. Homeowner, I was looking at your property online and I'm curious, how long have you lived there and why would you be wanting to sell? What his answer is going to be is sports news weather. The tip of the iceberg above the water. Nothing below the surface here.
Right.
Now, that will also be the case with females, men and women prospects. Doesn't matter. A lot of the times that first answer is a lie. We all have one good lie in us. Yeah. But typically we don't have 5 or 6.
Right.
Typically we only got 1 or 2 good lies in us. And I'll prove it to you. Right? If I called you today and I said, hey, Michael Goolsby, I'm moving on Saturday and I need somebody to come out and help me lift all this heavy shit in my house. Are you doing anything on Saturday? Can you come help? Bring your pickup truck and everything. I'll buy pizza for lunch. This Saturday? Yeah, this Saturday. No, I can't do it this Saturday. I got some shit going on with some friends, previous commitments. That's bullshit. You ain't doing nothing on Saturday. Right?
You made that right now in the moment.
But if I pressed Michael and I connected with him and I said, now, Michael, I understand, but here's the thing, man. I'm also going to get beer and we're also going to have some of our other buddies over there and no women. They're all going to get their hair did that morning. We're going to have fun, dude. I would love for you to be there. And he goes, you know what, man? I've been wanting to hang out with you and Oscar for a while. What time are you moving? You see, I'm building an emotional momentum with him now.
Tell him we're going to go fishing afterwards. You got him.
Exactly.
Go fishing. Yeah.
Yes,
so we all have that good lie in us. All these homeowner prospects, they have that good lie in them. You know, my favorite one is I'll think about it, or let me talk to so-and-so, or you know what? You guys are, some of you are buying into those like as if that's real.
Hey, Justin, can I tell you a story right quick? What happened with that?
Yeah.
When I was back in the day, when I was doing network marketing, I was in prepaid legal, and I was talking to a guy about joining the prepaid legal. He liked the concept of it and everything, and he was happy about it. So I asked him, I said, well, if you think it's something that you can get into and you like it, well, let's sign up today. Let's go ahead and sign up tonight. He thought about it. Then he came back and told me, say, well, I think I got to talk to my wife about it first. Because me and my wife, we don't do nothing unless we talk about it first. I said, well, that's fine. But I said, well, give me your name and number and I'll get back with you. So we on our way out to walk to the car after the second. He stopped and buy him a pop out the pop machine. I said, wait. Now, you just told me you talk to your wife for everything you do. You just spent $1. Did you talk to your wife about the pop? It was just being sarcastic. I was just being sarcastic. He said, man, you know what? You're right. Fuck, I'm going to sign up right now. He signed up that day because I told him that.
Yeah. Because you didn't buy the Sports News Weather Edition, right?
Right.
You wanted to dig a little deeper. And that's what when it's called guts, I believe, to me at least, this is where the guts really is, because any old dead fish can swim downstream, right? Oh, okay, you got to talk to your wife. All right, that's another lost sale. Okay, well, just my luck today. Everybody's talking to their wives and nobody wants to do anything with Justin, so goodbye. Okay, that's what a lot of folks are doing. But the emotional pay dirt is just, what's that story about the guy digging for gold and he gave up 2 feet from where the gold? Yeah. Sold all the equipment. Where's that story from, Victor? You remember?
Yeah, I don't remember. It'll come to me in a second, but it's one of the.
Yeah.
Not the world's greatest salesman.
Tell us the story. Recap the story for us if you.
Well, basically, the way the story goes is this gentleman decides that he's going to move everything over to California and join the gold rush. So he buys a mine, and he starts to dig into this mine, and he goes and does all of this stuff that, digging and digging and digging and digging, and he takes years and years, and he can't, never hits the pay dirt, goes bankrupt, loses everything, right? Finally decides that he's going to sell the mine and go on and about his business. So he sells the mine for some ridiculous low price to a guy. The guy comes in, and the guy decides, okay, let me hire an engineer real quick. So an engineer did a few little calculations or whatever. The engineer said, if you dig right there, you're going to hit pay dirt in about 2 feet. So as it turned out, just the proper information, the guy digs 2 feet and finds the richest vein of gold, ever be found. And the moral of the story being, you don't want to give up too early. But the other side of the story also is you want to operate with proper information.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the moral of the story. There's several good lessons you can pull out of there.
Yeah.
You just give up quick.
Yeah. Not giving up.
Not giving up.
You're closer than you think.
Right. Yep.
What was the other one you just said, Victor? You said one too.
Proper information.
Getting the proper information.
Getting the proper information. And with our calls, that's so apropos, right? Because a lot of times if we just don't have the information that we need to tie in and move towards that goal, payoff, and it's listening, it's connecting, it's, a lot of things where you just kind of create a bond and a comfort level where, like you were saying earlier, somebody is willing to be vulnerable enough with you to be actually give you, that golden ticket, that ability for you to, get in there and actually give them an opportunity to help. And I think a lot of it has to do with the person feeling a sense of that you're actually there to help them and to support them and to serve them in a way that's, positive, that you're not a shyster, that, and you have to try to convey all of that. And in the gut system, you get the sense that the easiest way to convey that is by listening effectively, asking questions and shutting up.
Yes. Yeah. Like a doctor would. Yeah. I also like to say like a police officer would, because a police officer, he will never go into explainer mode for you. Yeah, Rick, it was in Think and Grow Rich. I'll concur. That story is in
Think and Grow Rich, but it was another story that it actually referred to.
Yeah, there's that story or similar stories are in several places. Yeah. The emotional pay dirt, you're 2 feet away from it. That's what I take from it. Now, in Ed's story, where he was talking to the guy and the guy wanted to talk to his wife, and Ed had the guts to dig a little deeper. He made a sale. Now, that's a case in point. He was 2 feet away from the emotional pay dirt here. He just had the balls to go for it.
But it was funny how it happened, because I was, I was just being sarcastic because I had cut it out. I had left it alone already.
Yeah.
But he went and bought a pop, and I thought about what he said about I got to ask my wife. Me and my wife talk about everything. And that kind of struck a nail. I say, well, if you didn't talk to your wife about buying that pop, man, and I started laughing.
Yeah. I've got, as a real estate wholesaler, been in this career for a good number of years now. I have folks that will call me, homeowners that will call me from time to time and say, hey, I've got a house I need to get rid of. Can you make an offer on it? Somebody told me you buy houses. Okay, great. You would think that kind of lead, it would just be a breeze. Boom. Yep. Right in. Here's my offer. Oh, sign here. Boop. I'm out. Lickety split. No, you still have to find the emotional pay dirt.
Yeah.
You'll never get away from this. Creating this emotional momentum inside that client or potential client, prospect, whatever, homeowner. One particular case struck me really solidly with this point. I got a phone call just like that one. It was a house here in town where I live. So I went over to look at it. And the lady's story because remember, I'm trying to strike emotional pay dirt here. Her story is that her husband and her kids, oh my God, they were just like, I felt like I was at Swope Park Zoo, and they were climbing all over the fences, and like, you know what I mean? It was just like chaos, you know?
Yeah.
So striking emotional pay dirt with that going on all around us in the same room, I don't know if they was used to it or not, but shit, I was having a hard time just paying attention. You know what I mean? And I love kids. I got 3 of my own, but holy cow, I didn't let them act like that, you know? Okay. But anyway, it's almost like I came over to visit the kids, you know what I mean? And they're just climbing all over me and everything else. Sorry, I brought that up, but anyway, emotional pay dirt. How am I going to find it? I don't know. I'm digging a little bit though. And her story is, oh yeah, they want to move to Alaska. Okay. Well, that's a long way from here. They want to move to Alaska. That's the Sports News weather version. So I dig a little bit deeper. I turned the screw on her a little bit and I said, so what is it about Alaska that makes you want to leave such a great place? Isn't that counterintuitive? I'm almost trying to talk her out of it. This is guts, right? This is guts. When I said that, she opened up. It was no longer, I just want to move to Alaska. Here's the story I get. We went to Alaska 2 months ago. And when we got off the plane, it was like we knew we were home. We knew this is where we belonged. We don't belong here anymore. Okay, isn't that a far cry better of an answer than we're wanting to move to Alaska?
Right.
Okay, now, once I started detecting this emotional pay dirt inside her, I was like, oh, Alaska, what about Alaska makes you feel like that? And I'm looking at her in her eyes, and I've got genuineness in my face and in my voice. And here it comes. Oh, the people and the buildings and the architecture and the nature. And we just feel smothered here in the city. And up there, we just feel so free and relaxed. And we will do anything it takes to get there.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Man, I papered that deal that day. Before we left, because I had struck that emotional pay dirt. Now I was selling to their needs and greeds, right? If I had just been on the phone with her and said, hey, why you wanting to sell? Oh, we're wanting to move to Florida. Okay, great. Well, what purchase price are you looking for? What do you think it's worth? I blew it. I would have blown it. But I went over there, connected with her. You don't have to go there to connect, but I just happened to be in town. So I went there, but to connect on that emotional pay dirt level, that emotional momentum was created in that phone call where now she's telling me why we need to do a deal today. And before we're done, she's pointing out, oh, see, I've already started boxing up that room and I've started boxing up this room and this room over here has already been, you know, I'm starting on that. And oh my gosh, we're going to need a dumpster.
Right.
Oh, here I come to the rescue. Hey, you don't need a dumpster. Just leave all this shit here. We'll get rid of it for you. Really? You would do that? Yeah. In fact, if we can do business today, I'll order a dumpster and have it brought out before you move out. Oh, really? Wow, that would be incredible. I said, yeah. She said, here's the problem, though. We can't move right away because I still have all this boxing up to do, and we got the kids with the school and blah, blah, and I'm going to need another 21 days. Okay, that's fine. No problem. How about we go ahead and close on it and let you stay here for those 21 days rent-free? You see what I'm doing, man? I am giving her the best freaking deal of all time. There's no reason in the world why she should say no.
Right.
But I'm selling to her need and her greed, right? And that's making all the difference in the world. Versus I just come to the table and I'm like, here's my offer. It's got a dumpster in it. It's got 21 days of free rent, blah, blah. Here you go. Hope we can do some business later. I'll follow up in a day or two. Nah, that ain't how it's done, y'all. That ain't how it's done. I'm sorry I talked so freaking much today, guys. I just got fired up. You guys
Dude,
fired.
don't apologize for today. Today's gonna be classic.
Well,
This
appreciate you saying
this
that.
has been awesome.
Who's got some comments or questions or therapy for me?
Therapy. Where you at, Rick?
I'm glad you guys are here. We've been here about an hour. If we don't have anything else to discuss, we can cut for today. I've got tomorrow on the calendar at noon, same time, we're going to role play. So I know today I just bloviated for a whole hour, but tomorrow we'll actually get in and dive into these role plays and try to build this emotional momentum.
Yeah.
Because I really feel like that's where a lot of us are missing it. It's one thing to know the formula, but remember, I've always said, the formula, the agenda, qualification, closing, but formulas are for babies.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
I saw formulas. What you did
there. Yeah. Formulas are for babies. When you grow up, you have to have solid food, right? What am I talking about? Your tongue as a baby isn't trained to handle solid foods. It can only manage formulas. Right. But as you get older, you train, you strengthen, you develop. Guys, it's time to grow and develop like that. And if you want to be a master wholesaler, okay, it's all about connecting on that emotional momentum, pay dirt level with these guys. Can you do it in 3 minutes or less? Yeah. Yeah. 5 minutes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That call last night with Ed was 16 minutes. 16 minutes. How many of you will admit, like me, I've spent 45 minutes on the phone with a homeowner just to not get the deal? Yeah, I have. That's crazy. Never again. Never again. Because understanding the formula and then understanding the emotional quantity or quality that needs to come into play here is a game changer. Game changer. So tomorrow, let's role play that. Saturday, I've got a guest on the podcast. You guys remember Dr. Terrence Brown from Europe? He's actually from Washington, D.C., but he lives in Sweden now. He's a professor at some school there. Forgive me, Dr. Brown. It's got funny letters in it, man. It's hard to pronounce. But this guy has like 5 PhDs or something. Mind-blowing entrepreneurial expert. Okay. This guy is Europe's leading entrepreneurial expert in all of Europe.
Wow.
In other words, if anybody wants to know anything, this is the man they call. He will be a guest Saturday on this show, and he is going to be talking about mindset for entrepreneurs and the basic skill sets you need to learn to develop in order to be successful as an entrepreneur. You do not want to miss this. And in fact, I'm looking forward to cutting up the video and putting some really cool music behind it and making it like some kind of motivational speech. Because it's going to be freaking off the chain.
Yeah. I can't wait for that, man.
All right, guys. Yeah. I love y'all. Y'all got anything else for me today? That's it.
Man, I'm good. I'm ready to hit some fun.
Let's hit them.
Touch some emotions, right?
Let's hit them. This is Thursday. You guys know Thursday, Friday, and Saturday are my big phone days.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why I'm firing up right now.
All right. Showtime.
It's time to get busy. I need to get pumped. I'm here to, you guys remember this? We're here to pump you up. Hans and Franz.
Yeah.
I am Hans and this is Franz and we're here to pump you up.
I love that.
Oh, you just a little girly man. Look at me. I got the muscles. All right, guys, go get them. I love you. We'll see you next.
I love you too,
next time. Bye-bye.